Hi guys, my name's Becky and welcome back. But today is a special day because today is the day that I am going to be reading One Piece for the first time. But the first volume, I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea if I'm going to like it or if I'm going to enjoy it. I don't know what happens. The only thing I know is One Piece is about pirates, which is quite obvious, and I've tried to avoid as many spoilers as possible. Surprisingly, I've never actually known anyone who wants to read One Piece. So the aim of this video is I'm going to go and read through each chapter and then tell you what I think about each chapter, and then we're going to do like a quick review at the end. And I want to see if I do enjoy it. I'm going to probably make a series about this. Let's get on with chapter 1 then. So I've just finished the first chapter, and that is a really long chapter. So it's the introduction of Luffy, who he was as a kid and why he's inspired to become a pirate. So we first start off with, we're introduced to Luffy, who's trying to get this pirate group to take him because he sees Captain Shanks as his role model, but then some bandits come to town and he's like, why? And they the pirates let themselves be beat up, and then he's like, I'm not letting you be my role model, blah 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 blah. So these gang of criminals are kind of the antagonists for like the first chapter, like the first bit. But Luffy ends up eating the gum gum fruit, which I think is apparently a special treasure which they got from an enemy ship, and it means that his body is made of rubber and he can't swim, so he kind of is a bit upset about that. But then he comes to terms with it. He's just like, I just won't swim, I'll just have to float. It's really interesting because I'm guessing that fruit is going to have a more relevant role later on down the line. I don't know how many more of these fruits are, what the reason behind them is. They just give people magical powers essentially, which Luffy is made of rubber, so he ends up going to the criminal gang and tries to stand up for the pirates, but that goes wrong because he's a kid, he's about like 8, and so Captain Shanks has to go rescue him, and they end up in the sea and he has to go rescue him because he can't float, and Captain Shanks ends up losing his arm, which I think is quite a nice touch. I like when things have consequences, so I would say that's quite a first good chapter. We've got an introduction to our characters, and now we're forward in time, so we've got the motive of why he wants to become the king of pirates. So he's got his main goal of what he wants to do, and we're going to see how Luffy gets that goal. I know One Piece is a long series, so this is going to be fun. I'm going to read the next chapter and then I'm going to make some lunch because I'm hungry, because it's about 1 o'clock now. So I'm going to read chapter 2 and just see where our story takes us, because we're now 10 years in the future and we're seeing Luffy travelling off to find a crew so he can become the king of pirates, and he beats up the sea monster because he can now use his ability. But yeah, let's move on to chapter 2. I've just finished chapter 2 and ordered some lunch, and my dog is snoring like he pays bills. Hello. Hi, Aston. Luffy ended up going down a whirlpool at the end of chapter 1, and he ends up on this pirate ship because we're introduced to this lady called Lady Alvida. She's quite a horrible woman. She abuses a crew, telling her to call her beautiful, and she abuses this guy called Koby, who from what he's talking about, it sounds like he kind of just got kidnapped and didn't want to be there. So they find Luffy, and Luffy has a conversation with him, and he's like, oh, I want to join the Navy, and Luffy's like, oh, I want to be a pirate. So there's kind of this difference. So I'm guessing the Navy's going to come into the story later, so the Navy might be like kind of against the pirates. That's what I'm kind of getting, because that's normally what happens in stories like this. Luffy tells Koby to stand up for himself, and he does, and because he's got the powers of the fruit, he punches Lady Alvida and tells him to get Koby a dinghy. And there's been a talk of this pirate hunter called Roronoa, and Luffy wants to add him to his pirate crew, so they're going off to find him. A bit of a shorter chapter because I think chapter 1 was kind of just into the introduction of the story, so now we've got like the first stepping stones. I don't know if Koby's going to be a recurring character or if he's going to be part of the crew, but we'll see. I mean, he's quite a bit of a coward from what I can tell for his character, because Luffy's quite stubborn from what I can tell. But I've ordered a Subway salad, so I'm going to be waiting for that. So it's time to read chapter 3. So I've just finished chapter 4. So they've gone to this naval base town, which is run by this man called Captain Morgan. And so they've gone to a restaurant to get something to eat. And because Luffy says Captain Morgan and Roronoa name, everybody in the restaurant freaks out. So kind of think this Captain Morgan kind of has an iron fist over the town, and everyone's afraid of the pirate hunter. But there's also I've also learnt another fact about Luffy's character. He has no sense. He has no sense of direction. Even Koby says, if you're going to keep wandering around, then you're never going to be a good pirate. And Luffy's just like, just kind of just thinks. I think Luffy is going to try and find a navigator at some point. Maybe Koby will eventually go. They do say that they'll become enemies and they'll go their separate ways. But they are talking about Roronoa, and they go to see him, and he's tied up in a yard. He actually helped this girl, because this girl tries to give him feet, because Captain Morgan's son, I think his name's Halepo, was going around beating people up and abusing his father's power, essentially. So Roronoa might not actually be such a bad guy. He made a deal with Captain Morgan's son that he would be released if he could survive without food or water for a few weeks. But it turns out he's going to be executed. And so Luffy has been on the fence about whether he wants to add him to his crew or not. And I think that makes him his final decision. He's going to ask him to join his pirate crew. He's kind of using the situation to his own advantage. I think he's quite a schemer from what I can tell from his character, and he likes to take those opportunities what he can, because Roronoa's got nothing else to lose, even though he's got his own goals. But kind of Luffy is kind of his final option if he doesn't want to be executed. So I'm guessing that's where chapter 5 is going into. So it's time to read chapter 5. I feel like I'm getting through these quite quickly now, considering the first chapter was really long. So I have just finished chapter 4. So we were introduced to Captain Morgan because Luffy punched his son, and obviously his son has gone crying to him saying he wants him to kill him for him because he's disrespected the town, and this doesn't sit well with the town folk. But it's obviously revealed that Captain Morgan has been taking their money for his respect for him, so they are scared of him, so they just are trying to follow the rules, kind of because he's kind of overtaken the naval base. So that's bad. But Luffy goes to Zolo and says, do you know what? I'll free you if you become join my pirate crew. You can use swords. His means of manipulation. So Zolo says, I'll go get it if you can go. Oh my god. Sorry, that was my salad I ordered. And then Koby is trying to free him, so obviously Roronoa's, why are you trying to do it? And he's like, he reveals why, tells Zolo about how he wants to be the king of pirates, and he's like, what are we on about? Does he realise what that means? And he's like, that's just how Luffy is, he's pretty ride or die. So I'm gonna have my lunch, and then we have got, I think 4 more, I think we've got 3 more chapters? We've got 5, 6, 7, and 8, so we've got 4 more chapters to read, so yeah, I've just finished my lunch, so it's time to move on to chapter 5. I've just finished chapter 5. I think that's definitely kind of one of my favourite chapters so far that I've read in the story. So we get to look at Zolo's backstory about how he made a promise to this girl who he wanted to beat and become the master swordsman. They made the promise and she died. So it's kind of a bit of a whiplash there, but he's like, he promised her he can't die yet. He wants to become the world's strongest swordsman. And so obviously Luffy brings his swords, and he actually practices a style called the Santora, which is like a 3-sword style of fighting. And before this, Koby has revealed that he's going to be executed, and that's why Luffy punched him. And I think that kind of sets in motion the agreement that Zolo will become a pirate for Luffy because he's going to be executed, and because they're both going to fight. And it's revealed what Luffy is made of rubber, and he's like, what are you? You should be dead. But yeah, so he frees and he's going to become a pirate. So I think we've got the first member of a crew. I quite like Zolo as a character, so I like to see his quick little backstory. Although it just seems a bit of a whiplash with the, I made this promise to this girl and suddenly she died the next day. Like, maybe she died maybe like a month later, but the next day seems a bit kind of whiplashy. That's just my personal opinion. So, I think we've got 3 more chapters, so on to chapter 6. Right, so that is chapter 6 read, and what follows is a really cool fight scene between Captain Morgan and Luffy. I really love like the dynamic of how it's drawn, and you can see like how Luffy can avoid these attacks because he can bend, and how he's got his powers. And so Captain Morgan's quick to figure out how he can like avoid bullets and things, because he figures out that, oh, he's at the devil fruit. These devil fruits are quite common knowledge, and I'm just really curious about them, because obviously they're gonna have a bigger role, aren't they? I'm just really curious as to how these pirates find them and where they are, because there's a thing called the Grand Line which all pirates sail to so they can find the treasure of the One Piece, which is what Luffy wants to find so he can become the king of pirates. But Zolo calls him captain on this fight, and they end up defeating Captain Morgan, and yeah, I just thought that was a really cool fight scene. And I do really like Captain Morgan's design, actually. It's quite, he's got like this metal jaw, so it's quite like an intimidating character, and he's like really tall, because I do know one thing about One Piece, and that some of the characters are just drawn ridiculously like tall. But yeah, so we've got 2 more chapters. Right, so I've just finished chapter 7, and we've parted ways with Kobe.
Do you want to open it?
No, Alexa. Okay, that was a bit weird. So I just finished chapter 7, and Kobe and Luffy and Zolo and Luffy have gone their separate ways, and Kobe has joined the Navy, and Luffy has kind of goaded Kobe into punching him because he wants to try and prove that he isn't a fan of the pirates. And so yeah, they parted ways, but they're always going to be friends. But I feel like we're going to be seeing Kobe in the future chapters, but the ending of the chapter just really made me laugh. Luffy and his first crewman, the forever infamous demonic pirate hunters, all set sail, neither of them realising that they've made one serious mistake. So I'm guessing things are only going to go downhill from here. So I've got 1 more chapter which is going on to a completely new story arc. I find that a lot with manga. You get to like the 6th chapter and then it goes on to a new story arc. I don't know if it was me, I'd try and make 1 volume each story arc, but yeah, we've got 1 more chapter to go. I can safely say I have finally finished the 1st volume of One Piece. So chapter 8 is introducing a new character called Nami, and she seems like kind of a navigator and quite a scheming person, because both Zolo and Luffy can't navigate. And because Luffy sees a bird in the sky because they're both hungry, he's like, I'm gonna jump up and get it, and he ends up not realising how big the bird is. And so Zolo has to row to try and find him, and finds these pirates called Buggy the Clown. And it's revealed that Buggy the Clown, like their leader, is also at one of the devil fruits. So those fruits are going to play a major role in this story, I'm guessing. So my final thoughts on One Piece are I think I'm going to read the next volume. I don't necessarily love it, but that's because I've only read the 1st volume. I know people say you have to like read quite a few things to get into it. I think it's done well to introduce its characters, it's given them a motivation, it's given them personality. I will say the art style's not my favourite. I've always been a bit with One Piece. I've never really liked the art style that much. The thing with me with art styles, I have to like try and grow with them. It might grow on me, I'm just a bit... It's not a horrible art style, it's just... It's trying to get used to it, because it's a bit different from what I'm used to, because I'm used to different art styles reading manga. I mean, one of my favourite mangas had a really awful... well, Detective Conan had a really awful art style to begin with. I'm not gonna lie, that took some time to get used to as well. But so maybe that'll grow. If I was going to rate this out of 5 stars, I'd give it probably 3. I am going to be reading volume 2 because I want to know where the story is going, and I'm really curious about how Nanami is going to fit into the plot. I am not going to watch the anime. I am just going to be reading the manga. I think once I've actually caught up with the manga, maybe I'll watch the anime, but I think for now, personally, I'm going to just be reading the manga because I want this to just be completely like fresh and new for me. I don't want anyone to spoil it for me, but comment down below if you think I should read the next volume, which I probably will, and if when One Piece really gets good. I know people say it gets really good later on, but I'm just curious. I'm sure it's great. I'm just a bit on the fence at the moment. I don't hate it, but I don't love it at the same time, but it was an enjoyable read is what I'm going to say. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed me reading the first volume of One Piece. I want to try and do a few more videos like this because I think it would be quite exciting, because there are some big series I have never read, like Naruto, Bleach, Sailor Moon. I have never read series like that, and I think it might be high time to try and do that, but the first one obviously is One Piece. So thank you for watching. Comment down below if there's any more series you think I should try, or if there's any similar series like One Piece, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye. Mm-hmm.